Hello happy people, this is Gavin from Gavin's Biltong. Today we're going to be making biltong. Basically I've got a nice big chunk of silverside here and we're going to cut it up into steaks. But before that we've got to strip it down, get all the sinews and everything off, all this big silverside strap on the side, which is all sinew. We've got to get it all cleaned up and then we will cut it into steaks. Once that's done we will spice it up. Add a little bit of vinegar to it, just changes the flavor a little bit, and then it goes into a tub to marinate overnight, and then tomorrow we would hang it up in our dryer. I'm also going to be making stockies later, so that'll be on a different video. So let's get on and start our biltong. Right, so there's my meat. Let's take off the silver skin first. So we get our knife and we slit up there. It's got a big bit of gristle, this whole side here. So we take that first piece off like that. Just a bit there. And we just get underneath it here. And take it off like that. That goes into a bucket which we reuse. We cut all the sinews off and we reuse that into the boerewors when we make it. Right, so then now that we've got a bit more on the sides here, so we take all these sinews off as much as we can. These little ones aren't a big problem at all, really. Take some off the top there. Right, now, on this side, trim that piece off there. There's normally quite a bit on there, so we just take it off like that. You will notice I'm not using gloves. You can't cut meat and wear gloves at the same time. It's just one of those things you can't do. We keep washing hands, and that's about all we can do. There's also quite a big slither in here of sinew. There we are, I've exposed that there. So we take as much out as we can. Some of it we can't take out because it's built right into the meat there. So that's looking good there. Now, there's a bit of a hard, skinny sort of thing on this side. Some of it's fat, which is good. There's a little piece of bone in there. Always got to check for that. Right, that looks okay. Now what we will do is take a slither off this whole unit, and that's what we use for the stockies and chili bites. So we sort of come down, give it about 2 inches down, 2.5 inches down, about halfway through the meat, straight through, and we've got a nice chunk there. That chunk here now is what we will come and cut into stockies and that later. So that's going to go into a tub for stockies. That video I'll be doing shortly. All these bits and pieces, they can go away into another tub. Right, so now we're ready to cut our biltong. We lay it out. We've got quite a long sinew in there, so what we'll do when we get there, we'll try and take as much of that out as we can. So we start this side and we just come down and put it in. We go about 20 millimeters thick, 16 to 20 mil thick, somewhere around there, and we just keep slicing as we go like that. Right, so now you can see that line there where there's that long bit of sinew there. What we do, we'll cut along the sinew. You can't always get it all out, but we've got to try and get most of it out. So that there now is a little bit thick, so I will just put a cut in there. Cut it open a bit there and open it out, so now that just makes a longer piece of biltong. And then where the sinew is, I'll cut this side of it, and that goes in for using elsewhere, and then I carry on making the biltong. You do get shorter and shorter on this, on here. I get the silver sides without the salmon cut, which is a round long piece of muscle or of meat, and it's got a very long grain, and I find that it gets quite tough, so I get my silver sides without that on. If you get it with it on, you can use it, no problem at all. It just, I think, it makes it a little bit tough, but it all works. Now that we're getting a bit shorter, I cut through, turn it, don't go right through the meat, and then cut this side, so we get a longish piece, and same over here. And this is probably going to be another piece, you know. So that's a nice long piece. Now once it's all sliced up, it's ready and it's sliced up, you're not going to notice that the difference with that at all. So that's now cut all our meat ready. We next need to get the spices, mix all the spices in the meat, and then overnight in the fridge to marinate, and then we hang it up the next day. So now we need to put the spices on the meat. What we do first, we add a little bit of vinegar. We've got about 20 ml of vinegar per kilo of meat. We've got 8 kilos of meat here, so we put a little bit in the bottom. We then basically, I use a Coke bottle with a tiny little hole in the top. It works brilliantly. You never want to drown your meat in the vinegar or soak it or anything, because it just doesn't do anything, and it like pickles it. So put a layer in, put a spray on. That's all it needs, no more than that. Put some more, another layer, little spray, and so on. Right, so once you finish spraying it all on, even a little bit left, just add a bit more. It's not a big problem, but that's all it needs. Firstly, you can mix it around by hand. Mix it all by hand. Put the lid on, give it a good shake around for a few minutes, and that is now ready to start spicing. Now we put it back into another tub, and we're ready to mix the spice and then spice it up. We're making what's called the Namibian spice mix. It stemmed from Namibia some years ago, and everybody seems to like it. It's a fail-safe method. It's basically salt, black pepper, some sugar, and ground coriander, roasted ground coriander. I basically get my coriander seed, I roast it, well I fry it up, and then I put it in a coffee grinder to grind it all up. I also add in a little bit of potassium sorbate, which is a mold inhibitor, because I run a commercial business, I need to have that little bit of extra protection against mold. So Zimbabwean spice mix really works well. Basically the salt, I will put all the details in the description. So it's salt and pepper, then some sugar, the coriander, and then a little bit of the potassium sorbate. I'll put it into a container and give it a good shake up, and that is now ready to be put onto our biltong. With the spice, once again, similar to the way we do the vinegar, we put a little bit in the bottom, and then we get the steaks out. We layer them inside like that. We then sprinkle spices. You get to know how much spice to add on each time. By the time you finish, you must finish all the spice. So you layer it again like that. Spice. You can see it's actually put on quite a lot there. Right, so we keep going until it's finished. Okay, so I had a little bit left over and I've run out of meat, so mix it by hand a bit. Mix it around, get some more spice, throw it on, mix it a bit more. More spice. Right. That's it. Right, then you close it up and into the fridge for the night, or a day, or 2 days, or 3 days. Just depends on how long you've got to wait. The longer the better. 2 to 3 days is brilliant, and then it'll be hung up.